Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, it's Sejohn Sarowick. Yay!
Hey, everybody. You went so red on me that you cut out, but I'm here. What's going on, everybody?
I'm sorry, I was doing my Kermit the Frog because I can't believe that Muppet Vision in 4D has been destroyed at Walt Disney World, Sejohn.
Yeah,
my heart
I know, it's
cries
wild,
out.
man.
I was literally one of the first people to go through that attraction. It really, like, I always thought it would be there. It's one of those things that you think is going to be evergreen because it's the Muppets. But what are you going to do?
Wasn't that supposed to be the start of like a whole like Muppet section in MGM Studios that just never kind of took off?
Yeah, so
Disney has never really known what to do with the Muppets.
I mean, that is the whole thing of like that. It had just opened. Like I said, we were there for a conference with my father. I feel like I just told this story, but I think it might have been to somebody else. And while we were there, it was like right after they had acquired Jim Henson. So in addition to being one of the first people to watch Muppet Vision in 4D, we also got to meet the Ninja Turtles because the Ninja Turtles in the Henson suits were there, and that was so friggin' cool. Like, imagine
That's
being
wild,
like,
man.
It was awesome. So you're not wrong though, because they didn't really know. I don't think they really knew what to do with Hollywood studios, if I'm being just completely honest with you. But that was it. My father, he worked for John Hancock, and because of that, they, as part of a conference deal, were like, you're going to be one of the like beta audiences for MGM Studios. Suddenly, a lot of things are coming into focus as to how and why I'm Devon Decker. So, and I gotta tell you, this was not the plan. I just wanted to say, yay! Like Kermit the Frog. But, you know, what are you gonna do? How you doing, Siege? What are you up to?
Not much, man. I had mentioned last week that I was going to dive into a couple of things, and I've been doing that. It's been a kind of a crazy week over here because I'm on my own. I'm all on my lonesome. So I've been just kind of up to, I feel like nothing, but also I've done a lot. I started that Alex Cross show on Amazon Prime. For anybody that's been listening for a while, I don't know. I mentioned a while back that I had done the first season of Reacher and really, really enjoyed it. And I've kept up with Reacher. Reacher's been a really good time. Alex Cross or Cross, I think is the way that it is the name of it specifically, is kind of, it feels like they wanted to have a black answer to Jack Reacher, and I feel kind of gross saying that, but like it feels like an Amazon executive very much saw the success that Reacher was having and was like, this is great, and then like some yes man next to him was like, we're just not hitting this demographic, and they were just like, I wonder what we could do, and so they went and founded another book franchise that they could ape from and just completely just retool to make basically Black Reacher is what it feels like. Well, I mean, and I hate saying that, but like it really just has the same vibe, the same structure, the same everything.
You got me doing like research at the beginning of here. So I'm looking up the Jack Reacher novels by Lee Child. The first Jack Reacher appearance is in the book Killing Floor from 1997. Alex Cross, who has always been an African-American Metropolitan Department detective, his first book, I believe, is 93. Along Came a Spider was released in 1993 to positive reviews, spawning a series of 20 subsequent novels. So, like,
and some awesome movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
like Alex Cross as a character is a phenomenal character. And even there's actually a really decent I would say prequel movie, but like it's just an earlier movie than Along Came the Spider.
Kiss the
think,
Girls.
Called Alex Cross with Tyler Perry. A couple of years ago.
Well, that's the 2012 movie, yeah, with Tyler Perry as Cross. But then there's also the other movies. That's a prequel to Along Came a Spider, the story, but then in release order it was Kiss the Girls in 97 and then Along Came a Spider in 2001.
Yeah. So played by Morgan Freeman back then. But so like, if you think about the build of Morgan Freeman, love the man, but if you think about the build of Morgan Freeman, and if you think about the build of Tyler Perry, for anybody that's ever seen him out of his Medea outfit, Tyler Perry is a little bit closer to what the book describes, bigger, right? The way that Freeman plays him is amazing, but he's very different than he's described in the books. The way that he's being played by Aldous Hodge, I think I got his name right, but of Leverage fame, but also fucking Black Adam, phenomenal as Hawkman and Black Adam.
So good in Black Adam.
So if you think about his build now, especially if you look at the Leverage Redemption and seasons that have been coming out recently, and Black Adam, he's fucking jacked, right?
Yeah, he's
even bigger in this, right? And that's one of the, I think, the biggest tells for me that it feels like this was like a we need to jump on another book series, but we need to tweak things a little bit so that we get a different audience group, right? Is that one of the big things about Reacher and this is something that is so deeply ingrained in the character that it was actually something really held against Tom Cruise, is the fact that Jack Reacher is supposed to be a big dude. Right, it is described in the books that he's a big dude, and so it was such a big thing that the first season of Reacher, every other like line is a joke about how big he is, like his arms are the size of your head, like that kind of stuff, right? And I think season 3, they purposely introduce a villain character that is
who's bigger than him. I don't watch the Reacher series. First of all, there's the whole thing, is the fact that the Jack Reacher series is called Reacher and the Alex Cross series is called Cross. Honestly, I rest my case, Your Honor, if we're going to talk about exactly what you're talking about, is that we're even going to market them the same way. But I don't watch the series. And it's like, I have a little bit of PTSD related to Jack Reacher, because it was famously the question I got wrong during my run of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So Jack Reacher is a bit of a sore spot for Devin Decker, I'll admit that. But my father and sister watch Reacher, and I came home from work, and I saw the guy who was like, bigger Reacher, and I'm like, I fucking love that is what they have decided to do with this. I love, one of my favorite things about Fast and Furious 6 is the fact that it is the trope of we're going up against the like mirror versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Uzzes, yeah.
And the bigger version of The Rock that they found for Fast and Furious 6 made me cheer out loud. Because you think of Dwayne Johnson, he's a big motherfucker. And to find a guy who dwarfs Dwayne Johnson, it was so good. So I'm sorry to ruin bigger Reacher.
No, but that's right. And so you look at the ways in which they've tweaked Cross in order to kind of fit that same mold, and it's like really obvious in certain places, one of them being, we made Alex Cross the biggest fucking dude in the room, right? And like that's that kind of shit. So the vibe on it is, I'm saying all of this, and I hope that it comes across as, I enjoy this. Like, this is, they have made another series that is basically like spoon feeding itself to me, and I love that. It's just a little bit harder for me to consume than Reacher, because it is so ingrained in like race politics and stuff like that. I mean, the very first episode is about the killing of a Black Lives Matter activist and things. So there's some really heavy politics in it. Not that Reacher doesn't also have some politics. They're just much goofier. It's always like Russian mob tied in with like FBI intrigue and stuff like that. But the stuff in Cross is like boots on the ground stuff. Like there's like a scene at like a dinner party where another African American dude like calls him out for being a cop and is like, you're just one of the bad guys now, and it's like a whole heated thing and shit. So like some heavy shit is talked about in Cross, as opposed to Reacher, where some up over the top insane violence is talked about, but it's never like real world, that hits me deep shit.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I gotta tell you, I forgot, I did not know that Aldous Hodge was Alex Cross in the Amazon series. I'll also be honest, I didn't know that the series had come out yet. It released last year, right? 2024. So I missed that. And that then suddenly makes sense why Hardison is such a ghost in Leverage Redemption. And it's that you have given me so many places to jump off of, and honestly, I've just save scummed all of them, and I'm going to jump off all of those places right now, Sejohn. Leverage Redemption Season 3 has ended, but the rest of my family had been away, so my plan for this weekend is to finish Leverage Redemption, and I am stupid excited, because so far Leverage Redemption Season 3 has been fucking excellent. The show is just, I love Redemption already, and the stuff that they've been doing this year has been some incredible stuff. They did a one where everybody looked the same in a town. God, I can't even talk about it. It's just so good. So I hope to have that done by the next time we're recording an episode. Going back again, I love that Jack Reacher is the voice of Raphael in the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. That is something that I absolutely love.
Yes, he is. Alan Richardson is
Raphael in both of them. Yeah. Which I'm going to say, so if you want to see Tyler Perry outside of the Medea costume, most people are going to recommend Gone Girl, where he is outside of the Medea outfit, but I would always recommend TMNT Out of the Shadows, the 2016 sequel to the 2014 Michael Bay film, where he plays Baxter Stockman, and it is legitimately the best Baxter Stockman. And that's me saying this as somebody who has judged it. He has the I am evil for the sake of being evil thing that Eastman and Laird put into that character down to a T. God damn.
But also a bit of a coward.
Yeah, well, that's he's evil for you. Yeah, it really, they did a really good job
I like
of that.
His portrayal, yeah.
And this is also, I had a conversation about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles while I was out at, I think it was Acoustic Karaoke. I was out at the bar. And someone's like, man, I wish that, because it was about the fact they had announced a 4K restoration of the 1990 film has been confirmed. With some dates that I don't know if the dates are true, because it says it's Fathom events, but on Fathom's website, none of those dates are available, and they're in August, but Fathom has events scheduled through October. So, I mean, if you're doing it, it should be up on your website. So I don't know if that part is true, but there were rumors about the 4K restoration. Confirmation I found on Tuesday, and I was very excited about it. And I said that we have to discuss this because I don't know if that means, for the 30th anniversary, the year that COVID happened, for anybody who's keeping track of the timeline, we were invited as friends of the people that we know to go to a re-release of the 1990s film that had a bunch of Mirage guys there. They're like, we'd really like you to be there. It was this really cool thing. Of course, then COVID happened and it got shut down. So we weren't able to go. But now, with the 35th anniversary and the talk of a 4K restoration, is like, Dale, you need to start preparing yourself, because if we're invited to go to an event to go see the 4K restoration and it's with a bunch of our people we know from Mirage Studios, you're going to suck it up and you're going to go. And someone overheard me saying that to her, and they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I didn't mention everything that I just mentioned on the show, right? Sorry for all those names I sort of dropped. But I said, but they have confirmed a 4K restoration. He's like, that's the best movie. I wish that you could just delete the Michael Bay films. Now, as somebody, and Sejohn, this is something for a production meeting. I don't know if you still have a whiteboard or scratch paper on the desk. Write this down for something we need to discuss. Yeah. But as somebody who read the Blue Door script, the original script for the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, I have nothing but love and respect for the film that we actually got. Because when Michael Bay was on stage saying these turtles are from an alien race, that was not a slip of the tongue. That was not talking about they've been mutated by an alien race. The original script for that movie had them as aliens and had Shredder as a porcupine alien. Is crazy. Absolutely banana pants. So I like the 2014.
Why a porcupine alien?
So that he has the quills represent the Shredder stuff.
Oh my god.
And it's, I mean, you need to think the way that it was written and the whole thing that it was, Bay was just going to approach it like Transformers. So he had it as the Autobots, here represented by the Hamato clan, the TMNT, as we know them, and the Decepticon represented by Shredder, who was just another alien, but a porcupine man. Yeah. Wild. Real crazy stuff. So 2014 I like, but then he's like, yeah, I wish we could just erase those because And then as in talking with that person more, he revealed that he never saw the 2016 Out of the Shadows film. And this is the Say Report PSA of the week. If you have not seen the 2016 sequel to Michael Bay's 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, do yourself a favor and go watch that movie. Because it's so good. The people who are really only Ninja Turtles fans, and there's a lot of them, because of the 1987 series, you will eat up everything that they serve in Out of the Shadows, and then you will happily ask for more. It is the polar opposite. If you, as much as people hate the 2014 film, that is how much people will love the 2016 film. I'm just being honest.
It's an unfortunate, it had the unfortunate reputation of that first movie that I don't think it ever was going to recover from.
No, that's true. And it's on Paramount Plus, which I'm going to give them a little bit. But all four of you who have Paramount Plus, who probably have not seen that film, definitely give it your time. If only so that you can see Ted Black as Casey Jones. I know I said I wasn't going to bring up Suits LA anymore, but Steve Amell is only going to be Ted Black going forward for at least the rest of the year. He'll be Steve Amell again. Don't worry. But yeah. So I think that there's one jumping off point, two jumping off points. I mentioned Baxter Stockman. I think that's everything that I wanted to jump off of and make sure that we covered. Yeah. Oh, and one other thing. We talked about the evil versions of people. Sejohn, I almost called you Teenage Mutant Ninja Sejohn. Sejohn, who would you say is the dark antithesis of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in their own universe?
I mean, probably the Punk Frogs, I guess.
Sejohn, this is why we're friends. If I could put a gold star on your shirt, I will put a gold star on your shirt. And the reason I bring this up is, if you watched the unboxing video that we did in the middle of our Surviving Christmas very special episode, what an insane episode that was. But I swear, I'm bringing it up for a reason. I got the 2-pack of Rasputin the Mad Frog and Genghis Frog, and they're hard to find. But they were in the blind box that NECA sent me of TMND stuff. And I have been searching ever since for the Napoleon Bonafrog, Attila the Frog 2-pack. And I found it this morning, just running random errands. So I now have the Punk Frogs. And I haven't cracked open that original box because if you're going to have the Punk Frogs, you've got to have all four of them, right? The fact that Playmates only ever released Napoleon and Genghis was such a disappointment to me as a child. But it also reminded me of this conversations where people are like, I love Slash because he's like the dark version of the Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, I guess kind of, but he really wasn't meant to be that. The dark version of the Turtles are the Punk Frogs.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I have very limited knowledge here, as we know, but Slash feels much more in line morally with the Turtles, whereas the Punk Frogs, their whole anarchy edge makes them very much
certainly in the IDW comic books, where you have had most experience with the Punk Frogs, probably come from our time playing Splintered Fate, right? That's just an unfortunate truth of how you and I interact with those characters. But but Slash in the comics, right? In the Archie comics, he is an alien. So he is not another mutant or anything like that. He's an alien that they come across whose planet was destroyed by pollution because Steve Murphy / Dean Clarraine, same guy, really had an eco warning sort of tilt to when he was able to do whatever he wanted with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventure comics. I'm not complaining about that. I think it was important stuff that he was talking about. So the idea that Slash was the last surviving member of his race because pollution had destroyed his planet made him a very interesting character. And he eventually...
It's also very much of the 90s time,
Yeah,
right? Because
yes.
we're talking like mid-90s when this was, right?
Yeah.
You got Captain Planet. You had, I mean, even Toxic Avenger became like a kid show, Citizen Toxie and stuff.
Toxic
and, like,
Crusaders.
like,
Yes, not Citizen Toxie.
Yeah.
While Kevin Eastman is in Citizen Toxie, that might be the most violent of the thing, because the Noxus Revenger, the dark antithesis of the Toxic Avenger, is introduced in Citizen Toxie. And that guy's an asshole. But yeah, so like Slash, and then even in the comics, Slash is created by Bebop and Rocksteady so that they can have someone who's their minion, because they're like, we're sick of Shredder making us do all this stuff. If we create our own mutant, then we can delegate to him. Now, they don't use the word delegate. That's me using my vocabulary. So that's why they create Slash out of Bebop's snapping turtle, and then he gets sent into space and becomes hyper intelligent. But like always kind of, like you said, allied with the Turtles. Now in the 87 series, which introduced the Punk Frogs, their whole thing was Shredder was like, I need my own set of 4 amphibians to fight the Ninja Turtles. I'm going to mutate these frogs. And that's why he names them Napoleon Bonafrog, Genghis Frog, Attila the Frog, and Rasputin the Mad Frog. Because he specifically says you're named after some of the greatest tyrannical leaders from history. So it's just so weird. Like, they're meant to be the Bizarro to the Turtles. Even down to the fact that they're frogs instead of turtles. Because Shredder fucking hates turtles so much, he could never have one on the payroll. Which is why Toka in the series is just a mutant that exists in the world. He is not allied with the Foot Clan. Sorry to go off on that, but I'm just so happy to have the other Punk Frogs now. And I'm excited to put them into my little display because they're great. And all the time I've been playing with Splintered Fate, seeing more of that. But before we have any more fun, right? Did you get to play any Clair Obscura? Because we're going to go to the video game portion of this particular episode of this Say Report.
I did, yeah. So are we shifting gears? Is that what we're saying?
We are. Oh, God, I am so bad at double clutching. But yeah, we have shifted gears away from kind of just intro BS. Not true. You talked about Cross, and it was fun stuff. But yeah, let's shift to something we plan to talk about this week.
Yeah. So Expedition 33, huge right now. A lot of people talking about it, and I mean, it's got a really good. It's hard to argue with a $50 price tag on a game right now when everything that is coming out left, right, and center is saying $80, right?
Yeah, that is. I didn't realize how affordable it was.
Yeah, that's part of the story. Is that in addition to getting all the praise that it's getting, it's also not asking much from its audience, and so people are very, very much like looking towards it right now as kind of like honestly, it's kind of a thorn in the side of every conversation right now that people are trying to have, right? Is like, well, I mean, obviously video games are going to cost more, everything costs more, video games haven't gone up in price in years, blah, blah, blah. And then Clair Obscura comes along and blows everything out of the water critically, while also sitting at a $50 price tag. And so people are just like, okay, what do we do with this then? So it'll be interesting to see where things go from that particular little point there. But I have to say that I am struggling with it in a way that it seems the rest of the world did not.
Except for James Stephanie Sterling, if what you're about to talk about is parrying.
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm happy.
In terms of actually playing the game, it's not the issue. And
okay, good.
It's that it has not hooked me, like, entertainment wise.
Really?
Like I've put about 12 hours into the game now, and so I know that in these kinds of games they can go on for like 60, 100 hours, so like I don't feel like I've taken a big chunk out of the game or anything like that. but I'm still not entirely sure exactly what's going on. I don't know like why I should care about certain characters as much as I'm supposedly supposed to. There's like a there's a very like dark opening to it. Like there's this concept that's introduced pretty much immediately where once people reach a certain age, they basically die as like sacrifice to the to what is called the paintress, right?
Who's the guy in charge of this place? Logan? Sorry.
And so like and you're on a team of people that are sent to try and put a stop to this. And apparently this has been done dozens of times before. You're not the 33rd expedition. You're actually like the 70th or something like that, because it's counting down. So it's been counting down from 99. But there's weird things about like Expedition Zero and stuff like that too that you find out in this history. So it's a little, that's what I'm saying, is things are a little muddied right now. I'm not entirely clear on exactly what's going on, and I feel like it's purposely so. I don't feel like
the title of the game. Obscure is right there. I apologize.
But I think that there is definite charm to it, and I think that my biggest issue, in all honesty, is the artistic style of it. So for anybody that's not seen screenshots or seen anything about it or anything like that, it is very like realistic. One of the big reasons it's getting a lot of praise is that it looks gorgeous and grounded, and like humans look fucking amazing. Especially I'm playing on the PS5, things look gorgeous there, and like reactions and subtle facial movements and stuff like that are just like really cool to see. But because of that, everything is just like real and gritty, and like it's hard for me to tell things apart. There are certain characters that I'm having a hard time keeping keeping it in my head, because like everybody, also by the nature of where I'm at in the story right now currently, every character around me is also just in the same army uniform. So like on top of the fact that like nobody has any exaggerated features because they all look so real, there's nothing really to remind me who anybody is.
Nobody with a gun
so it's not like,
or
this is Cloud because he's short and he's got the big spiky hair, and this is Barrett because he's the big dude with one arm, and like like there's nobody like that. Like there's yet, right? And I'm hoping that eventually that kind of whimsy finds its way into this game, but currently it's not very whimsical. It's just very depressing. And like it's just, I don't know. It's also French, so maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, French cinema is known for being le depressing. We are born, we smoke, we die.
There's definite ennui all over this game, right? And like, and I just wasn't ready for that because of the ways that people have been talking about how good the game is. I expected it to be, I don't know, fun by this point, and I'm just not finding it yet.
Have you found any of those weird articles where it's like, Skyrim is the best game ever once you've played for 30 hours? Like, is there anything out there
I've
like
seen
that?
I've I mean, mostly parody, like people saying that kind of shit. But yeah, I mean, that's a common trope in a lot of fandoms, right? Is like, this show gets good, just skip season 1, that kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things, but I didn't know if there was an article specifically tied to Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, talking about it.
No, I don't think there's anything like that, because I mean, it's really quick to introduce its mechanics, and there's some really cool ones. There's like a really, really wild jump mechanic that I'm waiting for them to explain what the fuck it's all about. But you basically have a grappling hook at all times, but it's not a grappling hook. It's like magic from your hands. And again, no idea where it comes from. Have not yet reached that explanation.
I'm trying to think of like a funny way to call it a hook shot, but I don't have it. I can't get a joke out for that. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean that is what they basically give you, right? Is they basically give you a hook shot, or they basically give you like a Batman grappling hook to like get to places, and like there's moments where there's magical invisible rope in front of you, and I'm sure somebody out there knows the answer to this stuff right now and is like mad at their iPod that I'm saying these things, but like the game has not given that information to me yet, and I feel really confused and left out of a lot of stuff. I don't know if maybe I just didn't talk to the right NPC or something, or what.
that is my biggest fear in modern games. Like, as a kid, I talked to everybody, and now I find myself talking to less people, but I still try to talk to everybody. And imagine if you just miss out that one conversation that suddenly makes everything come into focus.
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
I'm also, part of the game stuff that I want to discuss is I think I went through at least 3 demos this week because of Next Fest over on Steam. And since it's just the demo, I don't want any of the story ruined for me. Like, here's a thing from me to demo creators. Please don't give me big conversation moments in your demo. Like, very clearly, the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound demo, which if you haven't played it, play it. It is awesome. I don't know if it's Ninja Gaiden, is I think the biggest takeaway that I have from it. Yes, Ryu is there. Ryu Hayabusa is definitely there, and he is my sensei, but like, it doesn't feel like the mechanics of Ninja Gaiden. And some of it's good. Some of it's like DMC, the weird Western Devil May Cry, where you have like blue aura characters and pink aura characters. And what you're supposed to kill them with is either your sword or your sub-weapon. That works for me in a way that it didn't work in Devil May Cry, or DMC, as it was actually called. Apologies. But like, the jumping stuff does not feel like Ninja Gaiden in a lot of ways. It feels like The Messenger, which The Messenger sort of apes Ninja Gaiden, and then we put the Messenger technique into the new Ninja Gaiden. The whole thing is very strange. But there's also, like at the beginning it says, this demo is specifically tailored so that you are seeing a variety of what happens in the game. But still, part of that are these long cutscenes. And I'm thankful that I can skip them, but my desire to not talk to NPCs anymore, I think, comes from the fact that in the demos, I don't want to talk to anybody. And then when I play the actual game, I'm like, well, I know what I'm going to do. And that has to be what this conversation is about. So it's having like a negative effect. And that's something I specifically noticed while playing the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound demo, which I do. I don't know. I recommend testing that game out. Sorry.
And I'm coming at it from kind of the other side, where like I love talking to NPCs. I go around because the big thing is that, especially in games like this, it's modeled after JRPGs in a very big way, right? And they're not shy about saying exactly that when they talk about it. So because of that, you never know, like, you could talk to somebody and it might not be plot significant, but it might be a really cool new weapon or something that you do, like, right? Like you do this thing that you suddenly get like a really cool upgrade that you wouldn't have had access to if you didn't just say hi to this person. So like, I'm very used to that in these kinds of games. And so I'm happy to talk to people, and I am talking to everyone that I think I can find. That's just it, though, is like, you never know if there's that one person that you just didn't click on the right way, or maybe didn't answer the right way, because there's also a lot of that where they give you multiple choice answers, and God knows they're probably fucking pointless. They probably don't do anything except just flavor text.
Yeah.
But like, it feels like, what if I got the answer wrong?
I hate dialogue trees. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just like, nope, I'm just not going to talk to anybody. If every conversation has to be me choosing the right conversation to have, I'm just not going to talk to anybody. And then...
Well, I don't mind it when it's like a core mechanic of the game, like a Mass Effect or a Fallout or a Skyrim. Like, if it's a core mechanic that you are establishing relationships with people and it is going to actually affect something, then I love a good dialogue tree. My problem is when you introduce dialogue trees and you obscure, no, that's it, and then you really mask the fact of what they do, right? Like the effect of what they do, which could be literally nothing, right? But you don't really give me enough info to see one way or the other, and like that stuff gets to me. That's when I start to get really itchy about them.
Yeah, it's but then at the same time, look at something like Super Mario Man, whereas like it's a Pokemon ROM hack, right? It's a ROM hack of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So I understand that I should talk to people, but so many people in that game just say the same thing, And that just makes me not want to talk to anybody. But part of that game is finding the right person to talk to in order to get information. So, like, I do like it if every character maybe has their own thing to talk about. But
yeah, why are those characters that are not the correct one, why aren't they pointing you towards the correct one? You know what I mean? Zelda Link to the Past is actually really good at that. Like, to really go all the way back, but it's one of the reasons why that game is as good as it is that if you're ever supposed to be finding a specific NPC, if you talk to anyone, they will... they'll guide you to the person you're supposed to go see, and so it doesn't really feel like you're talking to too many people saying the same thing over and over again, because pretty much after the one or two people, you get a good idea of where you need to go for your next objective.
Yeah. Like the elder Sahasrahla had to flee the town, so he's not in the town, and then eventually you find somebody who's like, I believe he headed east. So that's what gets you to go to the Eastern Palace area. It does work in that one. You're right. And there are games that do that really well. But then I think, Super Mario Man's a weird one to pick up, but I noticed it triggering my anger at having to talk to NPCs, because three people are like, I like the blue one. And I'm like, that's lovely that all of you guys like the blue one. Or there's it's like a school of toads.
I will say it's also kind of unfair to pick on Mario Man, because we are talking about an obscure little mod that
exactly. It's
a small group of people worked on. It was, it's a miracle of a thing that exists. So to wonderful. Call it out on not having this depth,
right?
I think a little unfair.
Well, I'm not trying to call it out as something I can't believe they didn't give everybody a unique thing to say, but it reminded me why I don't like talking to people in other games. Because Mario Man, huge, I get it. This was something done for free. This is not something that this person is not expecting to make any money from their efforts. This is done for passion. But then the games that are done for money, like AAA games where you talk to people and everybody just has the same thing to say, or you go into a room and everybody says the same thing, is this is pissing me off. And then I'm thinking about games where that have conversation trees, and Final Fantasy II, specifically Final Fantasy II as released in Japan, that was not released in America till after Final Fantasy VII, where they decided, we should probably number these properly. God, the people I know, you know him, you lived with him briefly, who refuses to acknowledge Final Fantasy VI as Final Fantasy VI. When I played it, it was Final Fantasy III. Yes, but now we know it's Final Fantasy VI. That's how you refer to it. Otherwise, you're just confusing people. But honestly, that's probably what you want to be doing. I don't know how to interact with you. But that Final Fantasy II, which is kind of my favorite game, one of the saddest things about that game is one of the creators of the game, the whole thing is trying to get the spell Ultima so that you can destroy this great evil that is sweeping across the land. And then when you get the spell Ultima, it fucking sucks. It is the worst spell. It's the worst spell ever. And the creator was like, I did it on purpose because so many things in mythology and fantasy have these people seeking out an ancient solution for a modern problem. And I just thought it would be great if you find that ancient solution and it sucks. And then you have to pivot and find an actual way. True MacGuffin in so many ways. And I dig that. I dig that forever. And the fact that
I think it's also important to point out that there is some discussion in the industry about whether or not that story is true, and whether or not maybe somebody just fucked up.
Right. That's the other thing. But if somebody fucked up and then they're like, but this is what we're going to tell people, it's a great cover story.
It's still good. Yeah,
and it works for it.
But that is part of the sauce.
Yeah, that is part. It's very true. Sejohn is correct. Let us give all of the information. But it's something that even if it's someone just messed up. I mean, the other part of that story is the fact that he was specifically told this spell needs to be more powerful, and then he just ignored what his bosses said and actually made it weaker. That part of it, because it adds something narratively to the game, because Final Fantasy II, of all the Final Fantasy games, is the only one where there are no experience points. It's the fact that, like, the more you use swords, the better your proficiency with swords are. The more damage you take, the better your defense becomes. Like, it is, like, true, like, experience is how you make your character stronger. So then you go on this whole journey to get this ancient spell that is supposed to, like, obliterate anybody that it's used on. And I will say, in all of the re-releases, they have fixed it so that any magic that your character has become proficient in adds, like, 50 points of damage to that spell. Like, that's how it works, which is just cool. And then as your proficiency with Ultima goes up, I think it adds more. I'm not 100%, because I like the story of we put the spell in here and made it suck. I love that story. And like Sejohn said, maybe it's a lie, but that's what I believe in my heart. It's like that. So by the time you get to it and you use the spell and it sucks, it's like, okay, so we were relying on that, but in our search to get this thing we were relying on, we became strong enough that we can actually stand against this evil. Like, it adds a lot of nice things to the narrative of the game. But then also Final Fantasy II notoriously has a bunch of rooms that are just dead ends when going through the dungeons, and those are randomized. It's not one of these situations where every time, like, there's 3 doors and you have to go through the middle door. Every time you enter the dungeon, the proper door pattern is different, and, like, that annoys the fuck out of me. That is I talked to 3 people and all of them just had the same thing to say, and none of it pointed me in the direction I need to go. Like, that'll piss me off. But the other nice thing about Final Fantasy II, I did not expect to be talking about Final Fantasy II today. I just need to be honest with the world, is the fact that it has the keyword system. So whenever you talk to somebody, words that matter will, like, be bolded, and you learn those words through the discussion. And then when you talk to other people, you're able to, like, bring up words, and that's the puzzle of that game. And that I really like. That one rewards you for talking to everybody. And it's one of those situations where it's not you have to find Sejohn, and Sejohn is the only person who will mention the rose. You'll talk to a bunch of people who will mention the rose, and then you'll be like, oh, that word seems important. And while you may have to find the proper person to say rose to in order to progress the game along, you are kind of rewarded by talking to people, because, like, it'll be like, I'm a big fan of roses. And you're like, that's a strange thing for the shopkeeper to say when he sells weapons. But then when you find out that rose is the code word to, like, get in with the rebellion, of course the shopkeeper likes roses. They keep him in business. Like, that one works for me. I really love the keyword system. And again, that's another thing that never came back into another Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy II, we always talk about how the sequel refines things. Final Fantasy II, proper 2, really is a game where they're like, oh, this is shit we never want to do again in a video game. I'm sorry. Nice. I'm just thinking about conversation trees and stuff. You know, I wanted to get this next part out of the way real early in the episode, so I'm sorry that we're not talking about it until, like, the 45-minute mark. But Sejohn brought something up last episode as I was talking about my Switch 2. We're in the Switch 2 portion of this episode. It's not going to be as long as some people may think it would be, based upon the fact that I've now had the Switch 2 for a week. But we're going to have a little bit of conversations about the Switch 2. And the thing I want to lead off with is Sejohn had mentioned seeing articles about being able to use the Switch 2 dock with the Steam Deck to output to a television or monitor. And I am happy to report those reports are true. I bought a $13 U-Green cable. I wanted to make sure that it was USB-C 3.2, so it was the fastest speed in case that would have any problem with it. The hardest part about it is getting a female-to-male USB-C cable into the Switch dock. It's easier than it was on the original Nintendo Switch dock. The Switch 2 dock does not have like two specific points where you need to engage in order to have the USB stick come up. But I did it, and I was able to use my Steam Deck on a TV. So like, there's a thing that we can talk about, is the fact that, yeah, it does work. So if you're already a Steam Deck player and you get a Nintendo Switch 2, and you pick up, like it's a $13 cable right now as of this recording, in case somebody listens in the future, right? It's just a USB-C female to male. You're also essentially buying a dock for your Steam Deck if you're willing to do the work. And that's huge to me. I'm just going to be honest with you, because I bought a dock for my Steam Deck just because, like, at the time when I got my Steam Deck, there was a deal going on. But I've never hooked it up because the Steam Deck is so good in handheld mode that I've never really wanted to hook it up before. But that's the thing to note. Yeah, but then the other thing, Claude, apologies again. I feel like you're Matt Damon at this point and I'm Jimmy Kimmel because we just don't have time for you. I did not test Tears of the Kingdom again. And I feel bad about that. Part of it is the fact that if I'm going to play through Tears of the Kingdom a second time, I feel like I should play through Breath of the Wild a second time. And I really didn't like Breath of the Wild as much as I liked Tears of the Kingdom. But if you're going to compare...
I agree with that, though. I don't know if I would say that you need to.
It's just what I'm feeling. It's something that I need to get over. I'll admit that. But then we've learned some interesting things about the Nintendo Switch 2 this week. Primarily, what I think should be the headline of it is that Joy-Cons 2, the $94.99 before tax controllers for the Nintendo Switch 2, are also prone to stick drift. Which, like, is not surprising, but is still a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, right? It still sucks.
It's been 8 years.
Wow.
I don't understand why Hall effects have not just been adapted by first-party controller makers at this point. I had mentioned while we were talking about testing Splintered Fate that I have the DualSense Edge, the like pro controller for the PS5. And one of the reasons why I got that is it has replaceable stick modules. Now, first of all, the replacement sticks are never in stock. They are impossible to get. So if you were buying it, because the reason that we got them was Dale, who was playing a shit ton of Apex Legends at the time, ruined 2 separate DualSense controllers. She had for real drift because of how hard she was playing Apex Legends. I every time I say this, I'm like, well, here it comes. I have never experienced stick drift on any of my controllers. It is a thing. I'm knocking on wood and hoping that it doesn't happen now. But it's not something I've ever experienced firsthand, but I've heard stories from you. I've heard stories from Dale. Other people have come up to me to tell me that's nice for you, but this is what happened to me. And that's why something like Hall Effect came along, the magnetic one. So it's not, because stick drift is built by, like, the grinding of plastic gears and an accumulation of that dust that inevitably is going to happen as you're grinding plastic together, like getting in there, but also the wearing down of said gears. So I don't know, but the fact that was such a disappointing thing because I was using it happened the same way with my original Switch. I was using my Switch in handheld mode like almost exclusively. I'm like, this is awesome to have this, and if I want to, I can drop it into the dock. But you know, it's great to have this. As soon as I heard that my Joy-Cons could damage themselves through normal use, that became an exclusively living in the dock system. And that is what has happened to my Nintendo Switch 2. Now that I know the same issue is a possibility all over again.
I live life one day at a time on the wild side, and I'm always using it in handheld. I understand that the more you use it is the more likely that you're going to get your problems. But like, what the fuck am I going to like? I can't constrain myself in that way. I got the Switch so that I could use it in handheld mode. You know.
Right. But I mean, like, then I just switched over to my Steam Deck, right? And it was Next Fest. Because I will tell you, I didn't play a lot of Switch 2 this week. I got everything that I have to do in order to unlock Mirror Mode, but I'm keeping myself from doing that. You have to complete the final cup a second time once you've hit all these, like, arbitrary goals.
Yeah, and you got to do Star Cup a second time? Is that what it is?
It's the Special Cup.
Special Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to get 3 stars, 150cc on every track, and the Leaf Cup is the thorn in my side. I have gotten 57 points out of 60 multiple times. And it's never like because I fucked up. It is that Mario Kart, item RNG where like, man, I got first place the last 3 races and now here I am. And oh my God, why did I get hit with a blue shell right before the finish line?
Yeah, it sucks that they've got this thing that is tied to you having no control. Like, I understand it's a really, like, you don't need to, this is, of all of the things you don't need to collect in Mario Kart, you definitely don't need to be doing this. But, like, still, it's a bummer that, like, you are good enough to get that. Why, like, the only thing stopping you now is RNG, and that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it really bothers me, come to find out that the rally style stuff, the knockout cups, also have like stars associated with them, and to get those you need to finish in first every leg of that race, and that's insane to me because like that's not the nature of long style racing. It's a marathon, not a sprint, literally.
Yeah, that's like the point.
So like you got to be perfect throughout if you want to get 3 stars on all of these. And it's like,
can you like knock it down to 50cc and just wipe everybody out though? Or
I mean,
like,
you could do that,
but
but you wouldn't have it on the 150cc. So yeah. Like the other thing is, you could get 3 stars on 50cc and take a photo of your screen with all the cups and show it with all 3 stars, and nobody would know until you go to the next layer that you only did it in 50cc. Like, that's the other thing about it, is if you just wanted that, like, bragging rights sort of thing, it's not like there's an extra sheen or anything to do it, because I thought I had 3 stars for everything, and then I went into the Leaf Cup, and I'm like, oh, right, I did that one on 100cc, because I was trying to unlock the character. Like, I just wanted to make sure I had that character so I could use them going forward. So I've gotten to 2 stars, and it's just, it is super frustrating that it's just because I can't get 4 first place finishes in a row, and usually not because of like something that I've done. I'll race it fine, but there's like, this is the big complaint of the game. And it's kind of always been the complaint of Mario Kart, but like the very there's nothing else to play right now, right? Not only is there nothing else to play, but we sat with Mario Kart 8 since 2012. We had 13 years doing Mario Kart 8 and then another 8 years on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, right? So this game comes out and all those people who perfected how to like break the game have already essentially broken Mario Kart World. Because they just know, like, I'm not going to bother with this. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to approach it this way. And these are the things. I now know how to judge how fast each character is. It's not like new tech and then they have to reaccommodate it to Mario Kart World. Like, all the tech that had been decided on, like, deciding the meta of who the fastest character is, what the fastest kart is, all of that has applied. So the game has been out for a little over a week, and it feels like it has been broken wide open, and everybody knows everything about it. And eventually, I'm sure there'll be a patch, but until that happens, like...
Well, you know what's really interesting is I know that this must have been happening before, but I noticed it with Mario Kart, and then just yesterday the new Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic released. And with both of those games, day one, I noticed just tons of streamers that were just doing, I'm going to play this until it's done. And like, I understand that there's a certain subsect of streaming that's what these guys do, right? Is that they're there day one and they play these games. But this was like streamers that don't even normally do this, especially with Mario Kart, because I think because it was a Nintendo product, because it was Mario Kart, people that don't even normally do this were doing this, where it was just, I'm going to sit down and just play for, until I get to this point, whatever arbitrary 100% mark they set for themselves, and like spent like 6 hours with the game and stuff. So it feels like more than just the normal people have streamed this to death and now the game is dead. I feel like the whole world was so quick to jump on this game that there was no game that was going to have enough content to keep people interested for more than a week with the ways in which everybody jumped on this week one, right? And I'm kind of seeing the same thing happening with the Five Nights at Freddy's game is because the way that series has gone, more and more people have started getting into streaming those games, and now it's kind of like it's the ocean is now very vast but very shallow, right? Whereas before it used to be a very small ocean but very deep. Like, and it's not any longer. Like, you can get this content immediately and then be done with this shit pretty fucking quickly in a way that really hit me this last week.
You're not wrong about that, because first of all, people streaming that type of thing, right? I'm going to stream this game until I've 100% it. We're seeing how successful that is for the streamers who play like that. So you have the emulation aping element of it, right? Where like, oh, I'm going to do what that streamer did, and hopefully I get some views because of it, right? Like that natural thing about creation anyway, right? Is we're all...
Yeah, man, it's all about chasing trends. Yeah,
exactly. So like that trend has become more successful. But I think what this is a bigger representation of, it is no secret that the Nintendo Switch 2 basically released with one game. Yes, there's a tech demo, and it was $10, so a lot of people are like, I don't want to spend $10 for a tech demo.
Well, right? It was $10 for a tech demo, plus you also needed to have all of the, like, including, like, camera and bullshit, right? Like, you needed to have everything in order to play it properly, didn't you?
Yeah. In order to 100% it, you need a monitor or television capable of 4K. You need either the Pro Controller or the charging grip for the Joy-Cons so that you can mess with the GR and GL buttons, which I always thought those stood for gamer. I'm now realizing that they stand for grip left and grip right button, because they're where you hold your controller. And you also need a USB-C camera. It doesn't need to be the branded Nintendo Switch one, because they're very quick to say, if you have a USB-C camera, an existing one, you can use that in the same way to do it. Not all are going to be compatible, but like that's how Hori had the Piranha Plant one, is the fact that it's just a USB-C camera. And then it's a Piranha Plant. Which also, come to find out, because I was at Target this morning, that Hori one that looks like a Piranha Plant is $5 more than the Nintendo Switch 2 one that Nintendo released. And the Piranha Plant camera is 480p resolution. The Nintendo Switch 2 camera is 1080p resolution. So you're literally paying a premium just for the aesthetic of it looking like a Piranha Plant.
Well, it's a pretty cheap looking aesthetic, isn't it? From what the criticism that I've heard of it is that on top of everything, it also doesn't look stellar.
Right. You know what else? I'm talking the aesthetic. There's also the fact that the Piranha Plant camera is built to be able to function in handheld mode, where very obviously the way that the Nintendo released camera is for when you're docked, because it comes on the little stand and everything. But the Piranha Plant can plug in while you're playing handheld if you want to do it that way. It's and I don't know. We haven't opened them. We have both cameras, and they have stayed as sealed as Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition and Street Fighter 6 Switch 2 edition for different reasons, like for completely different reasons for both of those.
Yeah, Nintendo's really banking on holdover games like Tears of the Kingdom and Kirby and stuff. They're really banking on that, like you exploring those some more too.
Let me tell you, if Kirby were available, the big issue with Kirby for me is that the update doesn't come out till August. Like that should have been as available as Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Like, and that feels like that's going to be their August release. June release, Mario Kart World. July release, Donkey Kong Bonanza. August release, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands Plus. And it's like, that sucks. I don't mean to be rude, but that kind of sucks. Because it's a great game, don't get me wrong. But I played that game to full 100%, which included so much gacha mechanics, like I wanted to tear my skin off. Like it just, because you just needed to keep getting coins. And eventually just give me the option to buy the one I want for like a premium. The fact that I just kept going through fights against Hyper Meta Knight to get coins and then go into the gacha machine. Look at the gacha mechanics. You've played Astrobot, right? I don't know if you got the new one. Like eventually, the only stuff that's left in the gacha machine is the stuff that you don't have. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands doesn't do that. You can be missing one thing and just keep getting duplicates. It just frustrates me a little. But I think the whole
Mario Odyssey did a really good job with that. I'm trying to remember specifically what item it was in the shops, but there was like an item in the shops that you had to go to the different worlds in order to get specific ones. But then at some point they introduced a guy that would just sell them to you, just from from wherever. Was it just the stars or was it the outfits? But there was some mechanic in Mario Odyssey that was that same way. But eventually, what they did is after a while they introduced a mechanic to just make it easy, right? So like at first it was a little bit of like, oh no, I'm going to have to go back and forth to every world in order to get all of these things, and then they were like, nah, don't worry about it. We'll introduce a shop that'll cover that.
Yeah, like I think the shop in the Mushroom Kingdom, the recreation of the Peach's Castle, is the one that had the guy who I sell from everywhere. So you don't have to remember where you didn't buy outfits from or where you didn't get moons from. Yeah, it's one of those things. And I mean, I don't know if it ever happened because I played Kirby was a game that I would sit in the basement studio. I had it on my nice monitor and I'd have Twitch on, just random stuff, and I would play till like 4 or 5 in the morning. So, like, on that level, I'm excited that it's getting a Switch 2 re-release, because I already thought it looked pretty damn good on the Switch. So I'm excited to see what they add. That said, I'm not excited for... It's like a $30 premium to get just the upgrade pass for it. That's not appealing to me. When I don't know how much you're going to add to this game that I already gave so much of my time to. But again, like we've kind of lost the thread here. If there's only one game for everybody to be playing, then it's even going to be faster where everybody just plays it to the point where it is completed. Because there's nothing else. It's not like there's going to be a subsect of the racing people who are focusing on Mario Kart World while the Zelda people are focusing on the Zelda game. Right? Everybody can only focus on this one game. So, of course, it's going to be a race to everybody being done with it. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know, Sejohn. It's been very strange. And I'll tell you, I've kind of stopped playing my Switch 2. I got the case for it today, which again seems strange that a case for your Nintendo Switch 2 did not release until a week after the system was out. I was at Best Buy this morning when they opened at 9 o'clock. There was a line out the door. Thankfully, it was for Pokemon cards. And I got the deluxe travel case. And my Switch 2 is now in that deluxe travel case, waiting until something comes out that will excite me to play it again. And that feels lame. But I'm happy to report this. The AC adapter that comes with the Switch 2 works with a Switch 1 dock. I don't know if I'm going to end up breaking my Switch 1, but I am putting in the tests for everybody to figure that out.
All right.
I don't know. But, yeah, it's just... And here's the other thing. Here's a complaint about Mario Kart World. Why are there 394 missions? That is like, these people who have played the game to like, I've done everything, are all driving around the world hoping for literally just one more mission so that it's 395. Ideally, there'd be 6 more missions and we can get to 400 and it looks nicer, but 394 seems to be the amount of missions that are in the game right now. And
yeah, at that point, why not cut it back to just like 350 or like 375?
Yeah, why is it this weird number? What does that represent?
Does it at least do a good job telling you, hey, you've done everything? Or is it one of those things where it's just like, oh, you don't know if you've done everything, there must be 6 more, and just drive around for the rest of your life?
The latter, Sejohn. That is what I watched a guy yesterday. I just had him on in the background while I was cleaning up. And he's like, I've had 394 for a week. I am just trying everything in hopes of finding one that I've missed. And that the whole world has missed. Because if you search Mario Kart World missions, IGN and its ilk have guides on how to locate all 364 missions in the game. And by all accounts, there's nothing that comes out that says you've completed every mission. The way that people are testing it is you get stickers, you unlock stickers for different milestones, and every mission has a sticker associated with it. So people are going off of that sticker page and the fact that I have there's no space anymore. Every page is full of stickers, so I believe that I have completed everything.
Man, that's gonna be fucking wild if they're in a week they're like, nah.
Yup. I mean, the people who are like, I'm playing till I find everything, they're like, I'm stopping at this point because I have to imagine I found everything, even though there's no indication that I have. Like, it could be something in battle stuff that I don't know. Like, it's the people are starting to get to the point. Like, that guy I was watching yesterday, he's like, oh, was that there before? Oh, were those balloons there? Do I drive to those balloons? Like, I was slowly watching a stranger on the internet lose their mind. And it was not farming content. It is the fact that they want to believe beyond all hope that there is just one more mission to bring 394 to 395.
Crazy. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Nintendo just trolling us all.
And that's what Nintendo do best. Maybe. I don't know. Speaking on the other demos I played from Steam Next Fest, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound releasing July 31st. I have it off. I'm stupid happy because I'm going to play that game. Even though they added the mechanic from the Messenger where you can attack things in the air and get a second jump. But because that broke the Messenger, they have it so you have a specific attack tied to your jump, and if you do that you get another jump off of it. It's like a spinning sword attack. I don't know how I feel about this, but if you've seen any trailers for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, the whole thing is that you play as a standard character similar to Ryu Hayabusa, and you play as a Kunoichi. That's a female ninja for people who are not obsessed with ninjas. Just for the record. And she is more range weapons. That's her whole character. Based on the demo, it's not so much you choose. They get soul bonded to one another. And there are moments where you step on an altar and she comes out of his body. And then there's platforming stuff that is uniquely tied to her. And in every section that I did, you had to collect spirit orbs that allowed her to remain outside of the body longer in order to complete the challenge. Which is interesting, but I would like it, hopefully, if after you complete the game, there is a mode where you can just, like, play through as her. As opposed to it being this... Like, I was hoping for, like, co-op. That would be the ideal, right? Is that
yeah.
But the fact that they're tied so closely together, I don't know. But the demo itself, once you complete it, is like, congratulations on completing the demo. And it's like 5 stages that you play through, which is pretty cool. If you go back to the title screen, you have unlocked a harder difficulty for one of the levels present in the demo. And that was cool. Like, that felt like a reward for playing the demo. And I dug that. I don't know if you've done this, but Yacht Club Games' Mina the Hollower set up for a Halloween release this year. They released a demo for that. I cannot wait. I went through it with all of the different weapon options that are available from the beginning. Like, because you can just play it like awesome. Link with double swords. You can play it like Castlevania where she has the flail. And then there's also like a hammer weapon. And the game is just gorgeous. And the puzzles are fun. And the fights are really cool. Like, Yacht Club got to look, based on right now, they got another winner on their hands.
That's right. That's fucking rad.
Yeah,
I knew about Undermine 2, just talking about Next Fest. That was the big game for me in it that I'm super excited about. Fucking loved the original Undermine, still play it pretty regularly, and like was not expecting 2 so soon. So I'm excited about that. And then there was another one in this list here. Hold on, I'm just looking through. Oh, Dispatch, yeah. Do you know much about what's going on with Dispatch?
No idea.
So, Ad Hoc Studios is a new studio that is putting together Dispatch, and it is a story-based game, much like the Telltale games. And the reason it's much like the Telltale games is that it is a group of the people that left Telltale, because Telltale had some real bad, like, stuff break about, like, the treatment of developers and stuff, you know. Yeah. What's that, Crush Time or
Crunch
whatever?
Time.
Crunch Time, thank you. Yeah, so some real crunch time like allegations that were like real bad, like they were just pushing people really horribly. So this is a group of developers from that left because of that, what was going on there, and developed their own studio with wanting to follow a lot of the same ideals that they were doing with what they were in terms of how they were developing at Telltale, but like they wanted to not be doing the evil shit. So I've been keeping a close eye on Ad Hoc for a while, and Dispatch is their first game that's coming out, and it's like a star-studded cast of people, and it's about a dispatcher for superheroes. You play as a guy that used to be a superhero, but has since he's retired for some reason. He's still pretty young, but he's retired for some reason and now just works as dispatch for other heroes.
Okay.
And it's about you putting together like a really good team of like misfits to stop crime in the city. Sounds pretty cool. But,
yeah, that
Dispatch
awesome.
is got a demo out that right now too.
Excellent. So that's cool. The other one I played, I'm a little embarrassed by this, but I'll admit it, is Bounce Masters, all one word. Do you remember that old Flash game where a polar bear hit a penguin and then you had to click to make that penguin land on like walruses and things to keep them going?
Yeah. No, but Toss the Turtle was a big one on
right.
on like Newgrounds and stuff
Kitten
like that.
Cannon, that type of stuff. Someone has developed a like Steam version of that, complete with like achievements and everything. That I lost so much time to that game yesterday. I played it for hours. So that's good. And then the other one I downloaded but didn't play is Absalom, which is a roguelike beat 'em up. And I'm very excited to actually give that one some time. And I just found out, looking through like ones that I might have checked out, the sequel to Bash Brothers or Brawl Brothers, that old SNES game with Are You Tough Enough on the cover art. I think Rushing X, I think is what it's called now, also had a demo release. So I'm going to give that one a try too, because I love a good beat 'em up. So those are things to check out. But that's been a big part of this week as well, is those. So it'd be weird not to touch on them. All right, Sejohn, we've come to my favorite part of the episode, the choose your own adventure Sejohn portion. Where like
all right.
in hand number 1, if you turn to page 23, we're going to discuss some, let's say, perfect versions of films and my exposure to them. And if you turn to page 47, we're going to discuss something new that I experimented with on a streaming platform.
Let's go that way. What is going on there? Stream platform. What's going on that way?
So, the paralysis of choice is a huge problem with all of the streaming platforms, right? Would you agree with that? Is that an insane theory that I just introduced?
No. I think that's a large thing that people are feeling nowadays. Is that they feel like they can't decide what to watch, and it feels like nothing is worth watching.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's a two-sided issue there.
Yeah. So one of those situations where I'm like, I just want to put something on. I don't need to think about what it is. I'm just going to experiment, right? Like it's just on and then I'm done. So yesterday I was looking at Paramount Plus and I'm like, let's look at the live TV options. And it's something I've never looked at before because I don't like want commercials or things like that. I specifically pay for the ad-free version of this stuff. But I look at the live TV and I find a channel called 80s Sitcoms. And it's playing episodes of Cheers. And I'm like, well, that's good, right? Because I don't want to have to choose the episode of Cheers that I put on. Let's experiment with this. So I watched I had 80 Sitcom in the background after it just got like sad watching this one guy trying to find the mythical 395th mission in Mario Kart World. I threw this on and it was great. First of all, there were no commercials. I don't know if that's because of the fact that I pay for no commercials and it's a separate stream for that. But like episodes were starting at like weird times because it was like playing a 22-minute episode or a 25-minute episode without stuff. And it wasn't just them in order. Like the first one I watched was from season 10 and then they put on an episode from season 7 and then it went to season 11. Like it was this great experiment. And I loved it. And I know that basically what I'm describing is just over-the-air television, but streaming, offering that as an option is something I've known about, but I've never played with, and I loved it. But the real thing that I want to talk about with this is after Cheers turned to Family Ties, and I'm like, I don't really want to watch Alex B. Keaton be a little Republican asshole. Sorry, Michael J. Fox. I love watching you go back in time and try to sleep with your mom. I know that's not what Back to the Future is about, but it's really hard watching you try to rebel against your hippie parents by being a Reaganite. It really just, that show, especially in modern times, hit a little different. So then they had like classic TV, and it was an episode of The Twilight Zone, but then after The Twilight Zone ended, and it was like there were like 4 minutes left. So I'd get to see like the best part of any episode of The Twilight Zone, which is the reveal of the big twist, and then Rod Sterling lecture me about that big twist. So I throw that on. And it was The Obsolete Man, which is a really good episode of The Twilight Zone. I really like that episode of it. So that's fun. But then following up The Twilight Zone was an episode of Happy Days. And it wasn't any episode of Happy Days. I got to get the exact title. It was a season 2 episode. I think it was season 2. Hold on. Season 2, episode 10. Let's see how right I am as I check the episode guide here. Holy shit. The top rated episode of Happy Days is the episode that I watched yesterday randomly. Like legitimately, it has an 8.7 and it is listed as the top listed episode on IMDb. It's Guess Who's Coming to Christmas, season 2, episode 11, and I was a mess. I broke down. I don't want to like ruin what this episode is about for people because I want to talk about it at Christmas time. But like, it's one of those things where if I had chosen to watch Happy Days, I probably would have just started from the first episode. But because it was some random thing that programmed the episode of Happy Days, I end up watching what is the top rated episode on IMDb. like randomly. Like it was not me who chose that. Like fate showed me this fantastic episode of Happy Days that we will watch this Christmas. It's going to be part of our Christmas watching.
All right,
I'm
all
gonna
right.
make it happen because it was just so good. I cannot believe how good an episode of television it was for an episode that released in 1974. So that's something to look forward to. But have you done any sort of things with like kind of like the cultivated offerings on streaming, Sejohn? Is it something that you've ever looked at?
Well, so one of the big services that we have in the house is YouTube TV.
Okay.
And so we utilize it a ton. Mostly, we'll use it to do like DVR style, like it's like a DVR you don't have to set. Essentially, you have access to a whole bunch of stuff as it played recently, and like the way that their deals work is that if it's been on TV in the last like 3 weeks, I think, then the episode is available to just watch at any time on YouTube TV. But there's also a live TV function to it, and it's something that certain people in the house have a very deep affinity for just putting on TV in the background, commercials and all, and just letting the TV run on a Saturday afternoon. And I, it's not my favorite way to watch television, but it doesn't offend me in any way. So, but very often in this house, on like a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, we will just put on YouTube TV on like the HGTV like style channel. Actually, I think it might just be HGTV through YouTube TV. But that we'll watch live TV all the time, and it's exactly everything that you talked about. It's that idea of like, I don't have to pick. Somebody else picks for me what is going to be put in front of my eyeballs, and I'm not in a space where that's offensive to me. Some people seem to be very turned off by that fact sometimes when you talk about that, because we tell people that we watch TV and they're like old school TV, and people raise their eyebrows sometimes. But no, it's a tried and true tradition in this house. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. It's one of those situations, but like I don't have a TV near any of the places where I like game now. So like the idea of just throwing on like the Paramount Plus 80s sitcom channel or something like that while I sit here and game, because like Twitch, a lot of people don't go as deep, or the people that I liked who were streaming late, they're not around anymore. Like I'm excited to try out having just something in the background, because I did it for a little bit with YouTube, but like YouTube is just so random with what comes up sometimes because of how the algorithm is working now. Like to see what is going to be on and be like, okay, so it's Cheers until 4:00 and then it switches over to Family Ties. That covers me for the next 3 hours. And then you know what? When it turns to Family Ties, that'll be like a signal. Maybe I should get up. Maybe I've been playing video games for 3 straight hours. It's time to walk around, get a drink, get a snack, maybe use the restroom. Be a human being.
When I was a kid,
again.
right? Like when I remember, it was like very specifically whenever Nickelodeon would click over to Nick at Night, and Happy Days would be one of the first shows that would come on. Knew that was time for me to go to bed, right? Yeah. Whenever I was staying over at Grandma's house, once Happy Days came on, it was time for me to go to bed.
Yeah, it's and I think that might be what really appeals to me, is that nostalgia, because I remember like vivid memories. Super Mario RPG. When I got my Super Mario RPG, I had turned the basement area. We had the big TV. I don't know if you've ever seen the basement area of this house, where we have one of those old school like cabinet style CRT TVs. That used to just be our regular, that's how we watched television. We had a cable box attached to it so that we could go higher than like, I think it only goes to like channel 25, to be completely honest. So we had a cable box there, and then I put another CRT on top of it. So what I would do is, I mean, I was dual screening before Nintendo even registered the trademark DS. And I'd have the one on top would be the video game that I was playing, and the one below would be like TV, right? Like just regular TV. And that is how I fell in love with Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Married with Children and a bunch of the TBS shows that used to play in the 90s. Because I'd sit there playing the game and I would just have TBS on. And when it would switch over from like baseball or something like that, like good background noise stuff, it'd become these shows. And then I'd find myself like pausing Mario and watching them. So it is this nice you're taking in two things at the same time, and you have no control over what the second screen is going to be. I did it a lot with Disney Channel too. So it's triggering that for me, and I'm pretty excited about it to like go forward and keep experimenting with it, because I know Peacock has a bunch of cultivated channels like that, and I want to see, like, the best part about it on the Paramount was that there were no commercials. So if I could just keep that stuff going and I don't have to choose, I'm very excited for what this has opened up for me. Now we're gonna
cool, man.
Now we're gonna turn to page 23, and these things. It arrived yesterday, Sejohn. I have it in my possession. Do you know what that might be?
The case for your Nintendo Switch?
No. That happened this morning. I have the Vinegar Syndrome 4K edition of Dirty Work that features the dirtier cut. And I have watched the dirtier cut. And
oh, man.
It is not that much dirtier. Really, they have just put back in the donut prank, which I'm sure you've read about. We've done an episode for the Adam Sandler Cinematic Universe for Dirty Work, and I'd be surprised if in your research you didn't come across the same donut prank that I came across.
Yes. So I didn't know that it was actually filmed. I guess I misunderstood that part.
Oh, not only was it filmed, it happens twice. So in the dirtier cut, they don't have 3 moves, they have 4 moves. Fish, prostitutes, the donut prank, and popcorn in your engine. And honestly, a great craftsman should only need 2 or 3, 4 moves, right? Why fix what isn't broken when you can perfect the things that work? The other thing is, weirdly, the whole scene with the bearded lady with Rebecca Romaine is not in the dirtier cut. Like, that just doesn't happen. And I didn't realize that until I watched I watched it yesterday, until the credits rolled and it's like bearded lady, Rebecca Romaine, and I'm like, did I just miss that scene? And it's like, nope. That scene was added to make the film less R-rated. I don't know.
It does kind of... It is kind of removable, huh? Because, like, I mean... It all happens off-site except for the one scene in their office when the guy that hires them shows up.
Right.
But, like, you just... Yeah, wow.
And also, it now explains why that scene, like, Artie and Norm are talking to each other... And the guy's like, hey, I'm short, not invisible. That's because when they're talking to each other, he's not in that scene. He's not there. That's an insert with him. Because the way the scene...
that is awesome.
Yeah. Like, so, like, from the standpoint of, like, preservation and seeing how movies are made, this has been an excellent experience.
Wild.
Yeah. So I'm really happy that it came. The dirtier cut, I mean, a lot of the stuff you know. The crazy thing, and I don't know if this is why, but the, like, who's that dude, right? Which always kind of feels like it's ADR. No, that's what he said. He didn't say, like, who's that douche? No, he just says, who's that dude? Because I don't know why you wouldn't, if you have the douche line, replace it. Because they definitely replace, except for the anal rape. That was the worst part. But the disrespect, that was the second worst part. Just Man, some weird
what a movie.
Stuff. It's a movie, and I don't know if necessarily the dirtier cut is better. And also, by modern standards, if that film came out, I don't think it would have gotten an R. I don't think the dirtier version of Dirty Work would get an R rating in 2025. That is what I can, like, honestly say.
Interesting.
But it's something that I am excited to have, like, interacted with, and I'm sure this isn't the last that we're going to talk about it, is what I'm going to do. But then the other thing, and I'm happy to report that this was a stunning success, is in the house we have kicked off a new thing, and this all comes from Ben Affleck doing his Criterion Closet video, where he picked up the Criterion version of Armageddon and said that I think that the commentary track I did on this is the greatest thing I've done in my career. This is 2-time Oscar winner Benjamin Affleck. I actually don't know if it's Benjamin, saying his greatest artistic achievement.
Benjamin Theodore Affleck.
Benjamin Franklin Affleck. I always liked that Hawkeye Pierce's name is Benjamin Franklin Pierce. I think that's just so funny. Sorry. Yeah, I'd go by Hawkeye too. Sorry. So we wanted to track it down, but one of the problems is the Criterion Collection version of Armageddon, even though it doesn't say it anywhere, is a director's cut of the movie. I don't know if you were aware of that. I don't know if the world was aware of that unless they've watched the commentary. Because nowhere does it say that you're watching a director's cut of Armageddon on that case.
Oops.
But Michael Bay very clearly is like, I'm so happy that we got to do this version because I got to re-include a bunch of scenes. And that was nice for me because watching the film, I'm like, I don't remember this. Am I just an asshole for not remembering this? And it's like, no, you don't remember it because you've literally never seen it before. That's not on you. That's on the fact that they did not indicate that you are watching a director's cut of this movie. Actually, hold on. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. It was weird to do that. Also, notoriously, a terrible transfer of that movie that is not enhanced for widescreen televisions. So in order to make it viewable, I ripped it, right? I ripped a copy of it, put it through VLC, and was able to crop it to the proper aspect ratio. The movie looked incredible. So we watched it 2 weeks ago, like just as the movie, right? So that within 2 weeks' time, we could sit down and watch that same movie with commentary. And I got to tell you, after the success, I'm willing to do it with more movies. The first thing that I have to say is everybody talks about how commentary tracks have gone the way of the dodo. That's true, right? You don't buy movies anymore and get commentary tracks. But I did find a YouTube channel called Movie Commentaries that is still doing like commentaries for films. And like they had Beetlejuice, and it was Tim Burton doing a commentary for that film. So that if you can sync up like the movie on a streaming service with this YouTube, you could still get like the commentary tracks that are missing. So like that's one. Is that like this is the thing that exists? Is
it real or is it like AI generated?
Oh, it is 100. I mean, based on what I'm looking at, it is 100% real. Like it is people who are trying to keep this going. I just found out about this morning. I'm going to do a little bit more research into it, so we will have more to discuss on that going forward. But the other thing is, after having watched Armageddon with its commentary track. Commentary tracks for DVDs and things were kind of like proto-podcasts. Now, I don't know if every commentary track is like that, but certainly the way Ben Affleck approached the Armageddon commentary, that is what he was doing. I mean, when he says that it's probably one of the greatest things, and a lot of people who talk about the commentary track, they cite the scene where Bruce Willis is shown the drill that they're going to send up to space, and Ben Affleck is like, why would it be easier, Mike, to send drillers into space than to teach astronauts how to drill? And Mike is just like, shut up. Just shut the fuck up, Ben. This is a real plan they have at NASA. Don't fucking question me. Like, that's the one. But they're like, Billy Bob Thornton's in the movie, right? Billy Bob Thornton coming up a lot in Say Report Studios this week.
Yeah, weirdly.
And Affleck is just doing the Sling Blade voice whenever he is on camera. And it's just so good. It's so funny. It is so fucking funny. And then, like, he's like, man, the best thing for this whole movie would be if at the end it's revealed that he is just Sling Blade and he got out of the home and, like, just convinced everybody that an asteroid was coming. Like, if it were all revealed to be in his head, a la something like Saint Elsewhere, like, that really would have made Armageddon soar. But, like, in addition to just how crazy good Affleck is on this commentary, Bruce Willis is saying some of the craziest fucking shit, and he is being insulting to people, and then he like is silent for a beat, like literally an actor beat, and then he goes, "I'm just kidding." Like, it's like, dude, like that, I don't know if that "just kidding" came fast enough, because a lot of people just believed what you said in that moment. But like, so he's also giving it. But the thing that like brought me to tears is listening to Jerry Bruckheimer talk about just how much he loves movies. Nicole Kidman's magic of the movies for AMC does not hold a fucking candle to Bruckheimer talking about how much he loves on a Saturday. If he's in town, he's going to see a movie. I don't care if I've seen the movie that's playing 50 times. I want to be in a movie theater on my Saturday. And if there's 2 movies that I can make work, that's even better. It is just one of these things that I don't know. I don't know how much interaction you have with Gen Z or Gen Alpha. That's the thing I'm going to say to you, Sejohn. I don't know.
Too much, to be entirely honest. I wish I didn't have as much as I do, the amount of bullshit that gets slung. Fucking, I am so over brain rot comedy. I have no fucking clue how it works. But anyway, sorry, you were saying.
No, that's fine. But like, I was talking to a friend who has like teenagers, and he's talking about the fact that they just don't want to watch movies, but they'll sit on their phone for 2 hours and watch like 200 different films, like 200 different short videos. And how like, and hearing that like physically made my heart hurt. And it just like hearing Bruckheimer talking about how much films are and how it brings people together, like forget fucking DVD commentary going the way of the dodo. I'm almost fearful of the art of cinema going the way of the dodo. Because it is.
I mean, welcome to the conversation, Dave.
I know.
I know
it's a thing that's been going on, but like to hear, like just almost 30 years ago, how much reverence he had for it, and the fact that like I just make the movies that I want to see. That's how I'm a producer, right? I don't hear Top Gun and think, oh, that's gonna make me $1 billion. I read Top Gun and think that's the kind of fucking movie I want to watch, which is cool, right? And it's just like I've been hearing about how like the next generations just don't have the attention span to watch movies, and so much of that just felt kind of like old man yells at cloud, right? But then when I heard my friend say that like his child was cast in Little Shop of Horrors. And I have to say this, I do really respect what he did. Child was in Little Shop of Horrors, and then after they wrapped the run of Little Shop of Horrors, he's like, now that you're done with the show, we should celebrate by watching the movie. Because, like, that's how I was introduced to it. And we can see, like, how your approach to the character was different based on the character who's in the film. Like, real excitement to share this with his kid. And his kid's like, I don't want to watch a fucking movie. That movie's 90 minutes long. It's not like he's like, we should watch The Godfather Part 2.
Right. Oh, no.
It just like, and then to hear Bruckheimer talking about it in the commentary, real tears just coming out of my eyes for like the loss of this art form. And also, I've been thinking in my head a lot about why movies have started to get longer again and why we had such short films in the 90s. And my whole thought process was along the lines of just how expensive film was compared to digital, right? When you're shooting digital, it doesn't matter if you're making a 3-hour-long film because you're not spending $100 million just on film stock.
Just on celluloid, right?
Yeah, right? I mean, because Michael Bay talks about, like, we spend over $1.6 million on film from Kodak. And when you spend $1.6 million on film from Kodak, they send you a gift basket with 6 bottles of Corbel champagne. Why it's 6 bottles of Corbel and not, like, a bottle of Cristal, I could not tell you. But that's what they do. They have a gift basket for when you spend over $1 million on film. And I'm like, see, and this is a movie that's like almost 3 hours long. It like felt like proof to my whole theory of like movies were getting shorter in the 80s and the 90s because literally we could not budget for the film, right? We had to think about how that affected what we were doing. We couldn't shoot forever. But then Bruckheimer talks about in the same commentary how everybody wanted the runtimes to get shorter because if you're showing 2-hour movies, you can only show that film like 8 times in a day. If you're doing 90-minute movies, you can show it 12 times in a day. And as Cineplexes came up, that is what the movie theaters wanted to be able to do, is have as many showings as possible. And like, I had never even thought about the math of that and how it would have affected the creation of that art. It was...
Yeah, I mean, it benefited a lot of people to churn out a lot of cheap, quick shit, which is kind of what led us to YouTube Shorts in the first place.
Right? I mean, I'll be honest, because it's what I grew up with, I love a 90-minute movie. I love when I know I'm going to be here for an hour and a half, and then my day can continue. Not that I'm against watching a longer film, but...
Yeah, no, but we always mention when a longer film moves along at a good click. Like it's a big benefit to us. Like it's a sign of a well-made movie to us if it could be 3 hours and still feel like an instant to you. You know,
right? American Honey will forever be that for me, because I saw American Honey. It was a 9 o'clock showing of that film. And it ended, and I'm like, how is it 1 a.m? I felt like I just sat down. That's a weird movie. You ever see American Honey, Sejohn?
No, I did not end up seeing it.
I recommend it. I recommend it to everybody, not just to Sejohn. It's a good one. And it moved at this clip that just blew me away. Where, like, after I left the theater, I'm like, did I fall asleep? Like, it kind of felt like the rapture had happened when I was in the movie. Like, there were no employees. I'm like, am I locked in the movie theater? What is going to happen to me? What happens when I step outside these doors? But yeah, so that was exciting, and we are in the process of determining, since I chose Armageddon, Dale's going to choose the next one, and we're in the process. And that's actually how we found out about this movie commentary thing on YouTube, because she's like, oh, I'd love to do like the Bob's Burgers movie and see what the commentary is on that. And I'm like, there's no way that there's a commentary track for the Bob's Burgers movie. Go look up the Blu-ray, look up the DVD. The Blu-ray is $2 cheaper than the DVD almost everywhere that I could find it, which is strange to me. I don't know why that would be, but it's just a thing to mention. And like, none of them say it includes commentary, and I'm like, it's probably not going to happen. But then I just typed in Bob's Burger movie commentary. Maybe they're like going to release some Criterion level or Vinegar Syndrome. Like, that's the other thing. Criterion used to be the only game in town. There's a bunch of people who's doing it now. Like, I have that 4K restoration of the original Super Mario Brothers movie that came from, I do not remember the company. Can you look that up while I'm talking?
Which is it? Sorry?
Super Mario Brothers 4K is going to be the easiest way to find it. They're an Australian company that is doing, like, huge versions. Like, it's a 3-disc set that also includes like art books and script revisions and everything. So they exist. And then you have Vinegar Syndrome. Like, it used to just be Criterion, but like, there is big market. Same way that you have limited run games who's like doing physical versions of games, even though fuck limited run games, using CDRs for fucking CD game representations, and then Shantae Risky Revolution using like old parts that are already corroded when people receive the games. I'm sorry,
Dev, I'm not finding it.
All right, well, you vamp then, and I'll find it.
For me, like, commentary tracks, like I remember more diving into commentary tracks on like Family Guy and Futurama specifically. I fell in love with I would watch through. I would buy those seasons, watch through the seasons, then watch through them a second time with the commentary tracks on, guaranteed. And then like, there were nights where I wanted to put Futurama on, and I would just put the commentary track episode for the episode on. Simpsons also had some really good ones too, but Futurama I think was kind of like the main one. So like the TV show ones always really worked for me because you get like a rotating group of them talking about some of the same stuff, which was always good, and like different ideas and different concepts for episodes and what like where jokes came from and stuff, and so like I love that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's a good movie commentary that I would recommend. I don't know.
Well, I know that one
Evil Dead ones.
The Evil Dead, of course, anything Sam Raimi. Just how much he loves film. Hearing him talk about it is excellent. What I'm choosing after whatever Dale chooses, which it looks like it right now might be between Bob's Burgers movie and I Love You Man, which makes perfect sense. They're two of her favorite films. I'm gonna do Dude, Where's My Car? Because Conan O'Brien used to not shut up about how good the commentary track is for Dude, Where's My Car? And maybe it's just a bit, right? Maybe it's going to be the worst commentary track ever. But I want to see. I want to experience it and see if it's good. And I'm willing to take that risk after the success that was Armageddon. And that's
John Carpenter and Kurt Russell do a bunch of commentary tracks together for their stuff. So something in that vein is probably super fun because those two are fucking. You want to talk about people that love
feed
movies.
each other, man. They just feed. I can only imagine. You can see it in the films that they work on. Yeah, it's this is an exciting thing that we're embarking because I have so many DVDs that it's like one of these situations where I've not really interacted with commentaries. And one of the main reasons was I was the other side of the coin with like the Futurama DVDs. Is I had friends who were like, we're going to watch them with the commentary. And I was fine with it. But then they were just the worst bedfellows to be watching a commentary track during a show. Like there's a reason why one of my first podcasts was 3 friends in a movie. A lot of my friend group, when it was something like that, would just have conversations unrelated to what was going on. And like, that's fine, but you also said, why don't we all sit down and watch the first episode of Futurama with commentary? And then like, you don't even have the attention span to do that. Like, okay. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
How do you feel about commentary tracks that are not like that people do like in character or like or just go off the rails? Like is it Waiting where they like pause the movie and do like football style like notes on the screen?
Waiting is one of my favorite commentary tracks because they have the Telecaster thing.
But I'm trying to think of an example of one that's like got characters in it. I think it's the Spinal Tap.
That would make sense.
Has a Spinal Tap, like where the band does a commentary on the movie, and it's basically a whole other film unto itself because of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that. Up to this point, my commentary experience has been the first episode of Futurama, which I watched with people, and then as soon as everybody was gone, I watched again and was like, that was a good commentary track, but I'm not ever going to do this again. I'm not going to watch it with people ever again. Hot Fuzz... I saw that movie 7 times in theaters. The original release had nothing, and then they did that like special edition release like a year later that had 7 commentary tracks on it, and me and J-Bro watched through 2 of them, and they were awesome. So that there's just that, and then Waiting was the third one. And that was
Edgar Wright is also really good for commentaries because he'll do a lot of inviting other people to do them. Spaced is basically every episode he gets a special guest. Kevin Smith, I think, does one. Tarantino does one. Yeah. And it's just Edgar Wright talking to these people about his work, and it's pretty awesome. I think Tarantino does the Hot Fuzz one too, doesn't he? He
was on one of them. I don't remember. We watched the one that was Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost. That was the first one that we watched, and I think maybe the other one, I don't know. This was like 10 years ago, not even 20 years ago at this point, almost, that we were doing this. And it was just like, this is awesome. But then it also got a little tired because like, we can't do another one. Like we did those 2 back to back. And it's like, yeah, we'll do more later. And then we just never did. So I have that. So I want to experience these. And Waiting though, with the Telecaster where they pause the film and like point out like little mise-en-scène moments or like, oh, there's the boom shot in this one. that one was crazy. Like, that felt like film school, and I really enjoyed it. So, I don't know. I'm excited to embark upon this journey of, like, revisiting film commentaries. Because, again, I have, like, over, like, 2,000 DVDs. I should be doing something with them rather than just letting them sit in the corner, develop disc rot, right? Like...
Yeah, yep.
But, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on this episode, Sejohn? I feel like this has been a pretty solid episode of the Say Report so far.
No, hit all my high notes.
Excellent. So I just want to let people know the next couple episodes are going to be more like approved absence episodes of the Say Report, just as a heads up. 440, episode 440 of the Say Report. Some film is having a 50th anniversary, and it's Jaws. We're going to be looking at Jaws for its 50th anniversary. Another one of those films that, like, when you grow up in New England, you kind of grow up in the shadow of that film.
In the shadow of the shark. Yeah, no, for sure.
So the 20th anniversary is June 20th. So June 23rd, we'll have recorded that, and you'll be able to listen to that. And then our last episode for June, which I believe is the 30th, like it's literally going to be the very last episode we release in June, is going to be our semi-annual sort of, I mean, this will make it annual, where Sejohn and I develop a playlist of songs for the summer. And for that, I'm going to defer to Sejohn because he has chosen the theme for this year's Say Report summer playlists.
We're going to do Summer Nights.
Which is our punny way of saying summer nights. Just, it hits the ear just that little bit bad. But like, what does that fully mean, Sejohn? Like, so just so I understand the assignment, and as does the class.
So kind of last time when we picked it, it was a lot of talking about being out beachy, driving around, that sort of thing, right? This is more like the parties that you're at, the campfires you find yourself around, the clubs you go to, if that's more your thing. These are going to be the songs that like really speak to us on, like, you put it on after 6, right? The sun is still up because because the days are a little bit longer, but like it's going down, it's dusk, it's dawn. The music that you hear then.
Yeah, it was our Samer jams, but now Samer nights, man. Oh, I'm excited for this. Like this theme has already got my head popping and pumping in a whole bunch of ways. So. I don't know. We'll let people know, I guess, where we're going with how many songs and things like that. Like, we're going to probably have B-sides and everything.
Yeah. I mean, like, last time we came to the table with a lot more songs than we decided on actually putting in the episode, and that's where the B-sides came from, and I'm probably going to do the same again. I'll just have a good handful ready, and then we'll put a decent-sized track list out. That's all.
Yeah, it's a good time. And then Sejohn gets to put together fun little album art, and it's a good time. Do we want to stick with the whole 10 songs sort of thing that we're doing?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we could put some rules down now. Yeah. 10 songs, 5 and 5 like we've done in the past. And,
yeah.
But
I know I already have like 15 songs that I could put together. So we're going to have some fun with it. But just making sure everybody knows that that's what's happening. Because I'm excited, I'll be honest. It is. Yeah. It's a good time. So I think that's everything. Oh, and Tank Girl is going to be our very special episode coming out the last Thursday of June, because that's celebrating its 30th anniversary. And both of Sejohn and I, if you haven't picked it up listening to all of the episodes that we've done so far, we're kind of closet Tank Girl fans.
Yeah. No, it's a weird, wild movie that I saw way too young and have a very deep affinity for. Because of all of that.
Everything Sejohn said, I co-sign. And it is, I'm excited to look back at it and just celebrate Lori Petty and Malcolm McDowell and A World Without Water.
Ice-T. Right?
I do love Ice-T in A World Without Water. No, Naomi Watts, right? Steve Zahn. I can't think of anybody else who's in the movie, but there's bound to be more. Oh, Jolie Fisher, right? Or if it's not Jolie Fisher, then it's the other Cusack, who is not Joan or John. I can't think of her name right now.
But also, obscure 90s comic stuff we get to talk about, too.
Yeah, right. And that's, if it's not the X-Men we're talking about in June, then it is obscure comics adaptations. So, there's that. So, Jaws next episode. You'll have Tank Girl as your very special episode between that. And then Samer Nights, buddy, for episode 441. So that's it. Anything else, Sejohn, before we wrap this up? I just want to make sure that we've covered everything. Let's
send this one off.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can keep it going by joining us in our Discord, invitations to which are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. You can also send an email to us directly. That's thesayreport@gmail.com. And we can facilitate you with an invitation to the Discord, or we could kick it old school and you can just send us emails. And if what you're sending is specifically for the eyes of me, Devin Decker, or he, Sejohn Sarowick, just make sure you put our names in the subject line, and we will assure you that it will be distributed properly without the other Say Reporter seeing your most private thoughts, hopes, and dreams. With all of that said, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you're interested, we've kicked off the final season of the Adam Sandler Cinematic Universe, and if you're one of those people who wanted to listen to it in chronological order by release, we finally covered Going Overboard as part of this.
So you can start now.
So you can start right now with our Going Overboard episode. We have not gone in chronological order, so it's probably going to be a wild time.
You're going to get real tripped up pretty much immediately when you move on to Shakes the Clown and also find yourself listening to the Zoo or whatever we did at the same time. Dirty Work.
Speaking of Dirty Work, right? But it's all set up so that you can figure it out. It's a possibility, but this would be the time to kick it off if you're going chronological, because we're rejoining with the 2002 film Punch Drunk Love. So you have 15 movies conservatively that you can listen to our episodes of before our next release in July. All that, though, sorry to derail a little bit. Again, thanks for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. And William, it's time to bring us home. Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devin Decker and Sejohn Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.